Jamsin Entertainment.
Hello again. You're a cab driver and you pick up a sociopath that happens to be a hitman. What do you do? That's the premise of Collateral.
Spoiler alert, you've been warned.
The movie stars Jamie Foxx and Tom Cruise. Probably, in my opinion, their best movies. Or at least one of their best movies. What was the movie Jamie Foxx and Robert Downey Jr. in? The Violinist. That was really good. But no, this is one of Tom Cruise's best movies. The other two that I really like of his are Last Samurai and Interview with the Vampire. I would say Last Samurai is his second best. Off topic. So, Collateral is exactly what I said in the beginning. Jamie Foxx plays a cab driver, and the way they set up the stories, they show the basic life of a cab driver. In my opinion, they hold on that premise for just a little too long. They could have cut a couple scenes out of building his character as a cab driver. So after they do that, he picks up a lawyer, female lawyer, and they play this little game of whose route is faster. Because she starts telling him, go this way to get to where I need to go. And he says, no, that's crowded this time. I'll take you this way, you'll get there X amount of time faster. And they had a little bet. If he was wrong, the fare was free for her. And they have their small little banter, and they kind of flirt and stuff, but it doesn't kind of seem that way. But well, I mean, at least he is, and she picks up on it, and lo and behold, he gets her to her destination ahead of schedule, and he gives her a free ride anyway. Oh wait, well, doesn't particularly matter. But she does end up giving him her card, which has never happened to this character before. And immediately after dropping her off, Vincent, who's played by Tom Cruise, is there to be picked up and to do his rounds as a hitman. But Jamie Foxx doesn't know that. So it all comes first full circle at the end. So Vincent, of course, lies that he's like a business person. He's got to get some signatures, collect some money, make some deals here, all in one night in Los Angeles. That's where it takes place. And he says to Jamie's character, who's Max. He says to Max, "How about I hire you for the night?" And he says, "No, I can't do that." And he shows him like $700 in right off the bat, and he says, I'll triple what you make in one night, and normally." And he's hesitant about it, but he just kind of gives him half of the money up front, or and he just drives him. He doesn't question him after that, and he takes him to his first destination, which is an apartment complex. And Vincent goes and does what Vincent does. He shoots a guy, and this guy falls through a window, crashes on top of the cab, startling Max. And when Vincent comes back down, he tells him, like, well, okay, yeah, you got to get him into the trunk. And you can tell he's a sociopath. This is great acting. And a lot of the things, A lot of the things Tom Cruise says is very funny because he's saying it with a straight face, and he's really just saying stuff that's matter of factly. It's not supposed to be funny, probably, but I find it funny. He said, "No, that's a dead guy." It's just the way he delivers the line. It's just a straight face, and it's so natural for this character to say that. It's just funny, and so he convinces and helps Max get over the fact that there's a dead body, and they get him into the trunk. And the rest of the movie, you see Max go on a decline of psychological terror in his head because he's driving around a sociopath who's murdering people. I would have been in the same boat. That's crazy. It doesn't happen to people, except it happens to Max this time. Well, this doesn't happen to people like often. Probably 1 in a million shots, and it happens to Max. They introduced a few other characters along the way. For Detective Fanning, he he shows up at the first hit and notices the guy isn't there at all, and then he sees the broken window, and he looks down and he sees the broken glass, and he calls up his detective buddy. And they have a small squad there, and they're going over the crime scene, and they see the blood and they see the powder, but the one guy doesn't think it's anything. He just he because he simply says, "I see a bunch of broken glass. I don't really see a crime here." But you got the crime unit saying there's blood over here, and then Fanning points out, like, look at the outshape of the car. I mean, the of the glass. It looks like there was a car here or something. And then I think they got a call. No, they don't get a call. The guy, the one guy leaves, and Fanning still like is investigating. But before the other guy left, he warned like, well, the FBI are building a case similar to what you are doing, but they have more of a case right now. And Fanny doesn't like that because he's been building his case for so long, and he doesn't want the FBI to come in and just take the credit for his work. Understandable. So you're also following Fanning, that's following Vincent and the trail of bodies he's leaving behind. And at one point, uh, Max can't seem to take it anymore, and he visits his mom in the hospital because his dispatcher is calling him that his mom's calling him, and because he visits his mom every night, Vincent says you can't break this pattern. So you're gonna go visit your mom, and so he introduces a sociopath to his mom. That's kind of a fun scene because his mom doesn't. His mom loves him, but she also doesn't seem to be proud of him, and she treats him like trash. But she treats Vincent, the brand new guy, like her son instead of her actual son. It's kind of messed up. It's a little funny. You have to watch it. Uh, but that sets up like more motive for Vincent to tell Max, like, you drive me, or I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna kill your mom. That's very valid motive. But before Vincent says that he would kill Max's mom if he doesn't continue to drive into his hits, he grabs Vincent's briefcase. He has all his files in there and information about the hits. He grabs that and he runs along. He runs out of the hospital, and Vincent chases him. And he runs down an overpass that has gates, no, not fences. And he takes a briefcase and tosses it over, goes over the fence, and it falls into the freeway and gets destroyed. And Vincent beats the bejesus out of him real quick and tells him, "You're screwing with my work. He can't do that." You can so you see both of them getting frustrated in one way or another. Vincent's getting angry that he can't do his job, and Max is again psychologically being terrorized. He can't take all of this because he's never seen any of this before, and so his mind is just going crazy. Like, how do I shake this guy? Do I tell the cops? It's just, how do I convince him that I'm innocent? And that's what's going through his mind, and he doesn't want more people to die. He wants to stop this, but he hasn't figured out what to do yet. So in the meantime, Vincent needs the last two hits. At this point, they've done three hits, and they go to this club where the guy who hired him is, but Vincent won't go in because he wants to hold his anonymity. He sent in Max to play Vincent, and Max starts out shaky, and he gets a little more confident by the end of the transaction, and he walks out with the information that Vincent needs, and they go on to do the next hit. Now, the movie builds up more. It gets a little more action there at a time. It's not an action flick. It's a thriller, and it's a really good thriller. Because when you first watch it, you're like, "Wow, this is interesting. A guy picked up a hitman. Where's this gonna go?" And well, just the next scene, they go to another club because that's where the next hit is, and all these hits are for a mobster, obviously, who wants to knock off witnesses. I told you it's coming full circle. So they go to the club, and that scene's really good because Max takes Vincent. Oh no, Max and Vincent go into the club because at this point Vincent realizes there's probably a tail on him, and so he needs a distraction. And he's already had him had Max on camera at the other club, so they're going to be looking for him. So he's already using Max as a double. It's also a really smart film. And while Max is just kind of standing around in the club, not knowing really what to do, Vincent is doing his thing. He's going through the crowd. He's taking out the bodyguards, and he's making way to his hit. And he gets the job done there. And Fanning is also there. He's putting the pieces together, and he thinks that he knows that Max is innocent. The FBI doesn't. The FBI thinks that Max has gone off his rocker and he's just killing people, but they just so happen to be his witnesses. Well, they also throw out the theory that this hitman found a cabbie that looks like him. Well, it's just kind of probable, but Fanny's really holding to his gut that Tom Cruise is the killer, but he doesn't know who Tom Cruise is to find him and arrest him or whatever. But he finds Max, and he says he believes him, and he's on his way out of the club with Max. Max makes it out just fine, and then Vincent kills Fanning, making it even more difficult for Max to be found innocent. And this is like the last straw for Max, really. And when he gets into the car, you can see that he is done with this. He doesn't want this anymore, and he starts driving really fast. He's taking corners, and he's making the sociopath worried. that's how crazy Max is getting. So he's driving down the freeway like 70, 80 miles an hour, and then he comes across a median, a concrete median, and he tells Vincent to go F himself. and he crashes the car, and it flips upside down, and they're both in there, and Vincent's ticked off. He grabs his gun and like beats Max over the head because it's like you're screwing with my work. I don't know why I find it funny, but I find it funny. But Vincent takes another look at where his last hit is. He exits the vehicle and he's on his way. The police officer must have been driving around and he saw the accident and he helps Max out. And he says, "Tell him to lay now, sit down. You were in an accident. Or you'll be fine. The ambulance is on their way. I'm going to check the vehicle." And he checks the vehicle and he finds the body inside. Uh-oh. Max is going to jail. Nah, he's not going to jail. Max is determined to get Vincent. And so he handcuffs the cop to the cab car. And before he leaves, he sees on a tablet that Vincent has, the last hit is the woman he picked up earlier. And it's back at her office. And so he makes his way to, well, actually a building across from the office, because he's on top of a parking garage, and he can see her because she's like the only person working in her office. And he actually stole a cell phone from someone. He had a gun at the time, and the guy tried to stop him, and he just put the gun in the guy's face, and he was like, "Oh, you take my cell phone." Again, I would do the same thing. He has the card, and he calls her up, and the battery's low on the phone, and he's trying to tell her that there's a hitman after her. And it's difficult for her to comprehend it real quick, but then she's like, "Oh, he knows stuff. He's talking about witnesses that I've been going over tonight that are dead now. Maybe I should take him seriously." And so she starts to dial 911. But before she can finish, the power cuts out because Vincent did it. And this is the kind of fact where it's like a horror scene, because you have the killer stalking his prey. At the same time, you have Max going over to the building and breaking in and trying to help the lawyer. Max and the lawyer exit the building unharmed, and Vincent is still in pursuit of them. And there's a train station nearby, which is another kind of cool action scene, because he's still stalking them, and at one point they're separated between two cars, and they're each at the door. And Vincent reminds Max that he does this for a living, which is another way of him saying, "I'm going to win and I'm going to finish my job." And this is the one part I have a problem with the movie. Vincent and Max have a standoff in front of the subway, no what, the train's doors, and Vincent misses every time, and Max kills Vincent. I call BS on that, because Vincent is a trained killer. Every one of his shots were the same shots. It was 2 in the sternum and 1 in the head, and they were close groups. Because they hinted the movie that he's former military. So he's been at this for a while, and he knows how to use a gun, and he knows how to aim. And he's an excellent shot, and for him to miss all those shots is just bogus in my opinion. And for Max, who to our knowledge has never shot a gun, to kill someone, especially not really seeing him, is bogus. So Vincent realizes he's defeated, and he just sits down on the train. And for some reason, Max and the lawyer come out and sit across from him. And there's a There's a small story that Vincent said earlier. Throughout the entire movie, Vincent's saying that we're all insignificant, where life's gone in a blink of an eye, and we're not insignificant. None of us are. But life is gone in the blink of an eye. But they just establish how cynical his character is. And the little story that he tells him is that some guy died on the the metro in L.A. and he rode the train for 6 hours before anyone noticed that he was dead. And so at the end of the film, his last words are, "Hey Max," the guy dies on the train. Think anybody will notice? And he just dies. So I only call bogus on the ending because, well, for one, aren't happy endings a little overrated by now? Wouldn't you? Wouldn't it have been interesting if they ended with the hitman finishing his job? It's something you don't see very often. It's not often that movies end, standalone movies end on a down note. But other than that, it's a great film. For your first time watching it, you're really gonna be sucked in. For your second time watching it, it's still gonna be enjoy. This is probably my fourth or fifth time watching. It's still enjoyable. I still love watching it, even though I know what's gonna happen. It's still a great film. So this was Throwback Thursday with Collateral. If you like what you saw, like it. If you think other people will like it, share it. If you really liked it, hit the subscribe button. And stay tuned for tomorrow's prep work for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows.
Live your imagination.